Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you our Necrons Grotmist Detachment. Now, I'm probably going to put this out day of as opposed to the other ones because, well, nudge nudge, wink wink, I had an extra day to put things together and think about it. I've thought about it, and on one hand, I am happy, uh, both as Necrons as a secondary army. I'm happy I apparently called it, so roll the flashback. But I do think, looking at what other armies have, uh, I think the Necrons might get a monster backslash vehicle detachment because as you look at it, there are there's support for vehicles in things like Hypercrypt Legion or Obeisance Phalanx. But as far as a detachment that is kind of Crusher Stampede backslash Shoal Forge Warpacky, whereas like focus on the big things, there are quite a few Doomsday weapons in the Necron Codex. And I'm happy uh I'm just happy. But then let's talk about all the reasons why I'm not happy. This is turbo cracked, like this is cranked to all hell. And I, my main army, got warriors. I got warriors. Tyrannid fucking warriors. They got, as a detachment rule, a 5 up invulnerable save. And one more OC. And can become battle line. Thousand Suns probably need to bring the goats out to control some points. To reroll wounds of 1 or get +1 to wound? Oh. But hey, Starshatter Arsenal. Since it is one of my armies, we will be reading the article today. An enormous array of arcane mechanical treasures are stored in the grand armories of the Necron dynasties. What happened there? Looks like Blank isn't the only one making some oopsies. Some nobles prefer to wage mobile warfare using imperious anti-grav war barks, looming mechanical walkers, and supersonic assault craft powered by eldritch technologies to outflank, outrun, and eliminate their enemies. As the armored tide swoops over the hopelessly outmatched foe, Ghost Arcs swoop low to disgorge rank upon rank of skeletal Necron warriors. No, they don't. Nobody brings those. Other forms of servile construct and maniacal killing machines join the lethal procession, adding their cosmic wrath, and when the foe inevitably breaks, dynastic soldiery fused with repulsor-driven platforms sieve down any who would attempt to flee. Okay, I just want to say, GW, relax. Relax a little bit. That was a cool passage, but as someone that works in education, that was like a we just we hit a word limit on that one. The Necrons of the Starshatter are. Guys, what's going on here? What's going on? The Necrons of the Starshatter Arsenal? Arsenal. What is going on with this one? Unleash a relentless onslaught. The detachment rule for this force upon their enemies holding objectives. Necron model shooting at enemy units on objectives. Add 1 to their hit rolls. While ranged weapons equipped by Necron vehicles and mounted models gain assault. Necron characters use some of the most advanced technology in the universe, such as the impedance fields, which wreathes vehicles in a time dilation field. Continuing with the time-bending theme, commanders can also use the chrono shift stratagem to allow their vehicles to advance 6 automatically. I'm going to refresh this to see if they fixed it. No, okay. Who's tomorrow? Weave? Weave to a rail. Oh, what is going on today? Weave to a real Grotness miracle for you all tomorrow. Like, do I have early warning dyslexia? Like, that just, these are typos, right? For you all tomorrow. The Space Marines of the Death Watch have heard your pleas and have earned a full index. Okay, whew. I'm glad that made me laugh because the rest of this might not. Alright, as you can see, it's on the downloads page. If you need it, it is smack diggity there. And we go to Starshatter Arsenal. Sorry, I did leave it off because I had to do one final take. Like, did they change anything from yesterday? They did not. Relentless Onslaught for Starshatter Arsenal. A wide range of mechanical treasures are stored within the grand armories of the Necron dynasties. Some Necron nobles prefer to wage mobile warfare, utilizing the swiftest of vehicles. Okay, so that was just straight up in there. Okay, I could have sworn that for the other ones it was different. Maybe I'm. Oh no, I look back. Relentless Onslaught. The Necrons possess countless terrifying engines of war. When mustered in great number, these instruments of annihilation sweep across the battlefield, seeking to reclaim lost realms and obliterate any foolish enough to trespass upon the territories of their ancient dynasty. Each time a Necron's model from your army makes an attack that targets a unit within range of one or more objective markers, add one to the hit roll. Anybody, +1 to hit. If somebody's foolish enough to try to get primary. Oh man. In addition, ranged weapons equipped by Necron's vehicle and Necron's mounted models from your army have the assault ability. Okay, so I have a bunch of tabs open and I would normally do the, oh, this tab refers to this situation. What I'm going to kind of do this time is because one, this is one of the armies that I know, and two, I've had time to sit on this thing. Um, everybody has had time to sit on this one a little bit. We're going to just start applying shit in places and then go through the tabs to triple check in case I forget something because that's pretty much my notes per se. Dread Majesty Aura 30 points. Overlord or Catacomb Command Barge model only, while a friendly Necron's unit is excluding Titanic is within 6 inches of the bearer. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. You're putting this on the Catacomb Command Barge because it's a vehicle. You're getting that assault. It already has, I should stop saying Terminator rule, transhuman. So, uh, you're taking the Catacomb Command Barge. 30 points. Yeah, probably. You can just get this into places. Because you can just put it through a wall if you really, really need to. Assault if you really, really need to. So, you're taking Dread Majesty, or 9 times out of 10. Miniaturized Nebuloscope. 15 points. Necrons model only. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bear's unit have the Ignores Cover ability. So, you are probably looking to put this on the Locust Lord, who is mounted, who will get assault, who will get +1 to hit if the target is on to an objective marker, and they have rerolls. Uh, it's a wet dream for the Locust Lord. Really. 15 points? Don't know if it's an auto include, but you're probably taking the Locust Lord. Like, you need something, do something. Demanding Leader, 10 points. Necron's model only. In your movement phase, select one friendly Necron's vehicle or Necron's mounted unit, excluding Titanic, within 6 inches of the bearer. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit is eligible to shoot in a turn at which it fell back. That's a cool points filler for 10 points. I've seen a lot of comments that are like, why are we acting like you could just get everything into the places you want? If you think you can't, you don't know what you're doing. There is a Necron character that can get to where we want holding this, because it says Necron's model only, and is alone up. Yeah, the Hexmark Destroyer, you're just bringing a couple of those to one, score you points, the same way you would 65 points on Deathmarks. It's alone up. Trust me, those lone ops coming in from shit like Rapid Ingress, I'm familiar with lictors. But these are characters, so you can just throw 10 points on them and put them wherever the fuck you need them to, and they can't get shot with lone op because, well, you probably at least have a Doomsday Ark in front of them, so you're just going to block that on out. Chrono Impedance. Why do I keep wanting to go impedance? Impedance fields. 25 points. Necrons model only. In your command phase, select one friendly Necrons vehicle or Necrons mounted unit within 6 inches of the bearer until the start of your next command phase. Each time an attack is allocated to a model in that unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. Again, probably just bring some Hexmark destroyers. You can also put this on maybe one of the Mancers that you are putting with Imatech to get some points. Uh, well, yeah, points, command points, but some CP. So it's good. Merciless Reclamation. Your shooting phase or the fight phase. One Necrons unit, any Necrons unit, excluding Titanic units, from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase until the end of the phase each time a model in your unit makes an attack. If the target of the attack is within range of one or more objective markers, add 1 to the wound roll. +1 to hit, +1 to wound. Dimensional Tunnel. Your movement phase. One Necrons vehicle or Necrons mounted unit, excluding Titanic units, from your army. Until the end of the phase, models in your unit can move horizontally through models and terrain features. Now, um, as a Crusher Stampede enjoyer, this does work more than some people realize at first. Once you have a barrel that was not there before, that shoots out across the fucking table, it hurts. It hurts. You have a Manir that just wanted to go through, right? You still put King himself somewhere else, maybe get another angle. They just have to be within coherency. You do that. Doomsday Ark? Yeah. Well, if you advance, the motherfucker has assault anyway. Put him through, put them, because you're bringing all of them through a wall, and bam, Doomstalkers. It's tiny little bases on those guys. All right, put them through a wall. Bam. Dimensional Tunnel in itself is pretty good. Unyielding Forms. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. One Necrons vehicle or Necrons mounted unit from your army that was selected as a target of one of those attacking units' attacks until the end of the phase. Each time an attack targets a model in your unit, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of that unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. I get to do it on a fucking Tyrannid Warrior. Did I tell you that Tyrannid Warrior is T5, 4 up save, 5 of invuln in the detachment, 3 wounds apiece, and I need to have an endless multitude unit around it? Nah. What if you just got -1 to wound on your Doomsday Ark? Alright, cool. Fuck me. Endless Servitude. End of your fight phase. One Necrons unit, excluding Titanic units, from your army that is within range of one or more objective markers you control. Your unit's reanimation protocols activate. I'm not going to get too hung up on that one, it's just nice to have. Chrono Shift, your movement phase. One Necrons vehicle or Necrons mounted unit, excluding Titanic units, from your army that has not been selected to move this phase. Until the end of the phase, if your unit advances, do not make an advance roll for it. Instead, until the end of the phase, add 6 inches to the move characteristic of models in your unit. Cool. Auto advance 6 when we're all getting assault. Fucking radical. Reactive reposition. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has shot. One Necrons unit from your army, excluding Titanic units, That was the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Your unit can make a normal move of up to d6 or up to 6 instead if it is mounted or a vehicle. Okay, okay, okay. So, if they don't do it in one go, like one firing of a Tyrannofex or a Land Raider, maybe. At this point, it's just who. Uh, they're kind of fucked and trying to get it down, especially when you bring some other things to keep it alive. So, let's go on to, of course, the Silent King, who is a vehicle and a character. And let's also, while we're here, I'm just going to skip ahead, okay? We're going to bring Transcendent Catan up as well. But the Silent King has Triarch abilities, into which you know at the start of the battle round, select one Triarch ability, see left. Until the start of the next battle round, this unit has that ability. Um, we don't care about the leadership thing right now. You have Faerun of the Stars. While a friendly Necrons unit is within 6 inches of this unit's Xeric model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. So, you know how you usually are in a pinch picking between this or Bringer of Unity? While a friendly Necrons unit is within 6 inches of this unit's Xeric model, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the characteristics of models in that unit to any roll or test made for models in that unit. Okay, don't worry about it. If you just put your character that is holding da, 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 Dread Majesty next to Silent King, yeah, within 6 inches of about those two, you get Ignore Mods, reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1, firing onto a target, +1 to the hit roll, possibly +1 to the wound roll. That's turbo cranked. That's turbo cranked. That's turbo cranked. Your opponent should probably never be able to hold the middle objective ever if they are playing against this detachment. Never. Just forget it. Okay? So there's that. Not even going to go to Fair and Other Blades. We really don't care about that here. If you want to go a melee vehicle route, bring the Seraptic Heavy Construct, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty good. 420 points. Silent King is an auto take in this detachment, and I guess that's the other thing that I should say makes me kind of annoyed is I waited a year for the Silent King to be playable in Obeisance Phalanx because it only made sense. And then, not shortly after, not too long after, um, he just becomes an auto take into an entire different detachment with much better rules, right? In Obeisance Phalanx, you have +1 to wound for um, all noble, Triarch, and Lich Guard units for a target per turn. But what if you're just +1 to hit versus anything that is touching objective marker, and you can turn on +1 to wound for, admittedly a unit, and just blast them off. And the same way the Silent King is an auto take over there, he's an auto take here. Well, having a way to benefit from both ignore mods and reroll hits and wounds of 1, it's gross. It's gross. That is pretty gross. So I just it's kind of unbelievable, and that's the downside of it. Like, it just power creep the hell out of the thing that they finally addressed. Is this better than Hypercrypt Legion? Yes. Anybody that thinks it isn't is lying to themselves, I guess. Um, it's turbo cranked because the thing with Hypercrypt Legion is you go, oh yay, I can now just drop my Doomsday Ark somewhere, and then it can fire, and yada yada yada. Or, how about this? How about you have assault, and instead of trying to get cheeky little angles on one gun at a time for a firing lane per turn, you move all of your shit. You advance all of them into, fuck it, you could say the open. Because at the same time, this is a motherfucking stat check of an army. That's what Crusher Stampedes, um, I forget what the Imperial Guard one is, where it's a bunch of fucking tanks. Um, that's that's just that's what happens. It is a stat check, first and foremost. If you can't find a way to deal with the Silent King and a bunch of Doomsday arcs, Doomsday Doomstalkers, shit, maybe some Doom sides, cause fuck it, why not? That have spiders around going down on that first turn, and you are visible, but you will be visible somehow, some way, because you can go through walls one way or another. It's fucked. It's fucked. Like in Hypercrypt Legion, you have a little bit more defenses, but now you just have full offense when you can +1 to hit, +1 to wound, rerolls. You form one little um of parade, I guess, procession of Necron vehicles, Silent King in the middle, Catacomb Command Barge with the, what's the enhancement called one more time? Dread Majesty, and just move on one side, fire whatever needs to be fired upon, because you have the range to do it, and if your opponent is not cowering behind one building, which you will still get angles because you have assault, you just take it away, and you fire, and you win. Now, is it necessarily that easy? No, it's not that easy. But it's also not that hard. So, I can't believe. Again, I like Necrons. I think I'm more so angry at the clear discrepancy of balance in GW headquarters. They really said, hey, we're going to print Hexwarp Thrallband for Thousand Suns. And we are going to make it so that they really are going to bring warriors. But they also printed out Halo's Creed Battleclade, which isn't busted, right? It's not busted. It's just good and applies to several units. Um, and Starshatter Arsenal, and nobody saw that not all detachments are created equal before heading that to the press? I was making a video that was defending, and I was like, the Grotmus detachment shouldn't be expected to be good, yada yada yada. This is turbo cranked. This is turbo cranked. So, moving on. The Transcendent Catan, why did I bring it up? Well, here's the other thing. A lot of the things in the Codex has assault, such as Transcendent Catan. Remember when I said that you are going to be able to fire on whatever the fuck you want? And how about you take one or two Catan that have assault, sustained hits 1, and you send them out. You don't worry about them needing to stay alive. They have half damage characteristic. They teleport 9 inches away. They have a 12-inch weapon. You fire there. And then if your opponent was foolish enough to try to play the game, you assault your other shit that hits for quite some distances. Like the Mineers are firing Annihilator beams 24 inches out. It's not the longest, that is about medium range, but when you add assault into it, you add the potential of about 6 more inches, so that could be 30-inch range on those bad boys. So, you know, Transcendent Catan will stuff any problem that you are trying to make it seem like this detachment might have. Is it 285 points? Yes, but don't worry about it because it has Deep Strike, Feel No Pain 5 up, half damage characteristic, and we know that not every army is prepared to just fight a Transcendent Catan. So this goes into the list as well. Catacomb Command Barge, T8, 3 up save, 4 up invul, 9 wounds, advanced quantum shielding. Each time an attack targets this model, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than this model's toughness characteristic, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Okay. Once per battle, at the end of any phase with the Res Orb, select one friendly Necrons infantry or Necrons mounted unit within 6 inches of the bearer and resurrect that unit. That unit's reanimation protocols are activated at D6 instead of D3. You cannot resurrect more than one unit per turn. If you resurrect that D6 and then you have a, again skipping ahead, reanimator right next to it, your mounted unit, i.e. the Hexmark destroyers, the Locust destroyers, are going to be doing that with an additional D3. So if they didn't get wiped out in one go, they're coming back. And they're going to be fine. The other thing with the Catacomb Command Barge is that carrier wave. While a friendly Necrons unit is within 6 inches of this model, add one to the OC characteristic of models in that unit. I've talked about how funny it is you can do it in Obeisance Phalanx with that additional stratagem to make the Silent King go up to like, what is it, OC 17 or OC, it's either 17 or 18. And then you take the Catacomb Command Barge and fuck it, OC 20. Okay? 20, 21? Something like that. Can't remember at the top of my head right now. But the Catacomb Command Barge, you're bringing it also to fill in the gap of, well, what usually happens in Crusher Stampede, uh, big Greater Demons list, right? Is that you go, well, you don't have enough models to hold OC effectively. Now you have a nice little boost to it so that your shit that is OC3, OC6, well, technically OC8, right? OC8 has another couple of OC while they're blasting, fire overwatching, whatever the hell that comes to try to take it. This is nice. Also have sustained or lethals, death wounds on an Overlord's Blade, Catacomb Command Barge, pretty tanky for 120 points. 10-inch move. Canoptic Reanimator, brought that up. Hexmark Destroyer. That's why I bring this up, because it is a character with Deep Strike and a lone up. And once per turn, one unit from your army with this ability can be targeted with the Fire Overwatch stratagem for 0 CP, even if you have already used that stratagem on a different unit this phase. In addition, each time you target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem, while resolving that stratagem, hits are scored on unmodified hit rolls of 2. Alright, why is this important? So, it is a lone up character. I've already talked about how you're throwing the enhancements on this one. Next is Deep Strike Fire Overwatching for free. And if somebody does try to, it's not the, let's get this clear, we're using the Enmitic Disintegrator pistols, which are pistol ignores cover. 6 attacks and none 2, strength 6, AP 2, damage 1. This is just going to chip away at whatever might be trying to clog up your vehicles if they think they can. You fire Overwatch on using your vehicle. If they're still there, you fire Overwatch again with Hexmark Destroyers. It's not going to be an easy time for somebody to try to deal with this shit. 70 points. Multi-threat eliminator once per turn in your opponent's shooting phase. When an enemy unit makes a ranged attack that targets a friendly Necrons unit within 3 inches of a model with this ability. After that enemy unit has shot, one model with this ability that is within 3 inches of that target can target as if it was your shooting phase, but it can target only that enemy unit when doing so, and can only do so if that enemy unit is an eligible target. Alright, so what happens with the Hexmark Destroyer once more is that somebody shoots your DDA, okay? Your DDA, well, actually, you shoot back with the Hexmark Destroyer first, with Multi-Threat Eliminator, and then your DDA gets to run the fuck away with Reactive Reposition. The Hexmark Destroyer is coming into your list. Locust Lord also coming into your list 9 times out of 10. If anything, I think I'd say don't worry about the Destroyers and the Lord before leaving out the Hexmark Destroyers. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, a successful unmodified hit roll of 5 up scores a critical hit. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that is below half strength, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. +1 to hit, possibly +1 to wound, if you want to spend the CP on it. Reroll those in the aura if somebody is not below half strength. Now, we're not looking at your profile to be the senders of it. We're looking at these, right? Heavy Destroyers, 36-inch range for heavy, rapid fire 6, sustained hits 1, 6 attacks across 3, well, per model, 3 models. Hitting on 3s, strength 6, AP 1, damage 1. Each time a model with this unit makes an attack with an Enmitic Exterminator that targets a unit excluding monsters and vehicles, reroll a wound roll of 1. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack with a Gauss Destructor that targets a monster or vehicle, reroll a wound roll of 1. Gauss Destructor, heavy, lethal hits, 48 inches, 1 attack, hitting on 3, strength 14, AP 4, damage 6. You're probably bringing the Enmitic Exterminators because you have other shit that can hit for much harder with their shots in this list. So, while you are talking about any chaff with the Locust Heavy Destroyer at 36 inches out for 18 attacks before Rapid Fire 6 gets involved and Sustained hits 1 and Heavy that you may or may not use because you're using Assault anyway. So maybe you just assault somewhere out, and if they don't take off your 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers, which are T6, Strength 3, 4 wounds, and then you resorb the fucking unit around a Reanimator, because again, this is all plausible. Like, let's not act like that is impossible to do. You're winning. You are winning. You don't have to dedicate your DDA shooting to a small unit in front of you. You can take out the enemy's tanks that were trying to take out your tanks. Locust Destroyers, Gauss Cannon, lethal hits, 24 inches, 3 attacks per model, hitting on 3, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible enemy unit, reroll a hit roll of 1. If that target of that attack is within range of an objective marker your opponent controls, you can reroll the hit roll instead. So +1 to hit, hitting on 2s, rerolling the entire hit roll. For 6 models, 180 points. I think you might not even bother putting a fucking Locust Lord on this one, if you want to include this unit. Maybe you, if you just can't justify putting another DDA for 10 more points, maybe you take a max squad of these, just a hand or something. But Locust Destroyers, they are mounted, so I wanted to bring that up. Triarch Stalkers. This is the one that is going to make this even more annoying for a lot of people. They are a Scout's 8 inches vehicle walker. T8, 3 up save, 4 up invuln, 12 wounds. Why would this make people have a worse time? Well, 2 things. With targeting relay, in your shooting phase, each time this model is selected to shoot, after resolving its attacks, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, that enemy unit cannot have the benefit of cover. You're probably taking the heat ray that the Triarch Walker has scouted 8 inches out. Then, you could either make it so that it doesn't take too much damage while having a 4 up invulnerable save and 12 wounds. Your turn, whichever turn that may be, advance this bad boy. Heat ray focus mill to 4, 18 inches, 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, could be 2s. Hey, Could be. If they're, does it say they have to control or does it just say on? Yeah, within range. So, fire away. Heading on to Strength 9, AP 4, D6, Melt of 4. Or, ignores cover, Torrent, Flamer, 2d6, Strength 5, AP 1, Damage 1. You strip that cover with your Triarch Stalker, and then you fire with your bigger shit. Yeah, it's this is gonna have your opponent have an even worse time because they do have to get past the Triarch Stalkers to get to whatever juicy thing you thought, uh, or they thought they were going to get into. So, Triarch Stalkers, you're bringing them. Doomsday Arks, talked about them enough. You're bringing them. They are equipped with a Doomsday Cannon, 2 Couch Flare Arrays, and Armored Bulk. In your movement phase, if this model remains stationary until the end of the turn, its Doomsday Cannon has the Death Wounds ability. Doomsday Cannon, Blast Heavy, 72 inches, D6 plus 1 shots, hitting on 3, Strength 18, AP 4, Damage 4, possibly Death Wounds, possibly hitting on 2s, rerolling hits and wounds of 1. Gouge Flare Array, lethal hits, rapid fire 5, 24 inches, 5 shots per array. Hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. T9, saving on 3s, 4 up in Vuln, 14 wounds, 10-inch move. It's just cranked to all hell. It is cranked to all hell on this one. These are probably going to have to jump up to 220 at least before people feel okay, I guess, about this. Against it, I should say. This is a lot because again, 72 inches. Whoo, whoo, 10-inch move. I already had fly, so instead of doing the jank thing, you could just put it through a wall, though. And that's to say that you can still do the jank thing if you feel that you need to go up and over at a weird angle compared to just scooting through, right? So yeah, Doomsday Ark, Auto Slam. Canoptic Doom Stalker. Doomsday Blaster. Blast Heavy. 48 inches. D6 plus 1. Hidden on 4. Strength 14. AP 3. Damage 3. Twin Gauge Flare. Only one of them this time. Lethal hits. Rapid Fire 1. Twin Length 24 inches. 1 attack. Hidden on 4. Strength 4. AP 0. Damage 1. Remember when I talked about Fire Overwatch? And you just overwatching whatever? Well, Canoptic Doomstalker has Sentinel Construct each time you target this unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem. While resolving that stratagem, hits are scored on unmodified hit rolls of a 5 up. So, if somebody was foolish enough to try to walk out in front of somewhere, Doomstalker, Fire Overwatch hidden on 5s, Hex Mark Destroyer, following up for free. Yeah. You will be taking away parts of your opponent's army with this stuff. And again, Transcendent Catan out. Now, what the points will look like per se, we'll see, but when you have Canoptic Spiders for 75 points each that are giving your Necron vehicles within 6 inches of the bearer a Feel No Pain 6 up Feel No Pain 6 up as an ability attached, yeah, you're doing it, as well as the Gloom Prism. While a friendly Necron unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, models in that unit have the 5 up Feel No Pain against mortal wounds and psychic attacks. Good luck trying to lift these vehicles easily. As someone who likes Venom Thropes and the Psychophage, I can tell you, you can get this aura in places a little bit more handedly than one might assume. Don't even matter about the fact that it has a particle beamer. It has 2 particle beamers, excuse me. That's right. 2 per model. With blast, dev wounds, so that means 2d6 hitting on 3, strength 6, AP 0, damage 1, blast, dev wounds. So, yeah. Bring a couple of these, probably more than the Reanimator if I'm being honest, because of the list that you're running. 75 points for 75 points. You have a good list. Tomb Blades, 75 points for 3. They are mounted. They do have fly. This is your other way to quote-unquote score points and have forward pressure because they have scouts 9 inches. Evasion engrams in your shooting phase after this unit has shot, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. If it does, until the end of turn, this unit is not eligible to declare a charge. You can either make it so that it has ignores cover or stealth or a 3-up save characteristic and a move characteristic of 8 inches instead of 12. But a 3-up save compared to 4. I don't really think you really need the Tomb Blades in this, but they're there and they will benefit from things. I know it's attractive because they have the mounted keyword, but I just personally I just don't rate Tomb Blades too high. Don't get me wrong, they're still okay. I just don't think they're that great. Then Imhotep the Stormlord to wrap it up. Uh, remember how in Obeisance Phalanx was just like, well, do I want to put both of them? That feels weird. It's awkward. Yeah, I don't care. Fuck it. Be awkward, because I need the CP. At the start of your command phase, if this model is on the battlefield, you gain 1 CP. Lord of the Storm, once per battle, at the end of your command phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within a foot of this model. On a 2 through 5, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6, that enemy unit suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. 100 points. Attach them to some Lich Guard. Just let them be there. Maybe you bring a Night Scythe to get them around while we're just throwing vehicles in the fucking list for the sake of it. You would have to make sure like he's back on one way or another. Maybe you just get yourself blasted out the sky or something quickly to put him back on the field for that CP. But anywho, all of that to say, you're bringing him because you need the CP in this. If I'm being honest, you don't need the CP. You would really like to have it, but you would be perfectly fine with the once per turn CP to do one of the things, because that's the other situation with this, where it's just like, yeah, you don't have, you're probably not bringing many overlords to try to capitalize on any of these, right? So you're bringing Imhotep instead. And you don't always have to auto advance 6. You don't always have to transhuman. You don't always have to reactive move. But, you know, the once per turn 1 CP for +1 to wound, if you feel it's necessary, go for it. But that's where it's going to become another display of, I don't want to say display of skill, because that makes it seem like I have a ton of it. But yeah, I guess it's a skill thing, right? Not to say that this is the hardest thing to run, but to say that a lot of times it's more attractive if you like, all right, I'm going to, because I can, +1 to wound. Do you need to? You have 2 Doomsday Arcs firing on that target. Do you need +1 to wound? Well, yeah, if I want the, it is better to hit on 2s than 3s. I mean, I guess, but do you need it in this case? You already have 2 things, 3 things maybe with a, Doomstalker, cheeky little Doomstalker, or, a Manir firing on that angle. Do you really need that to spend the CP here? I don't know. It might be better spent going through a wall one time, or saving it so that you did get tagged in combat. So instead of letting your shit just die, you reanimate it there for you first and then go into the next turn or something like that. So I say all that to say that Imhotep is probably a staple in this one as well. But if you just play it a little bit cheeky, you don't have to necessarily act like you were starved for CP. Yeah, you won't have it for like a CP reroll, but fuck it, what more rerollers do you need? You park a Catacomb Command Barge behind something, that's just your aura for that. You park the Silent King on the other end, you say fuck it, fuck the ignore Maj part. Nothing is like stealth or, I mean, good luck finding an army that both does not have stealth and or armor of contempt, but if it really isn't bothering you that much because you got +1 to hit anyway and cancel that out, fuck it, and you just go with the rerolls there. So yeah, I I will say, contrary to me being as annoyed that my main army doesn't have something to the same power level as this, because like we were like, yeah, we're getting High Fleet Chronos. It only makes sense. And then they were like, how do you like warriors? And how many do you own? Um, I do still like Necrons, and I did want a way to bring out my Doomsday weapons. As one list that wasn't just Hypercrypt Legion, and this gives me that. So I am happy about that. But it is very, again, the thing that makes me the unhappiest is that clearly the balance teams for armies and shits are on drastically different pages between this and Halo's Creed and Warrior Bioform Onslaught and Hex Warp Thrall Band. I'm just perplexed, and that's what makes me the maddest. I'm going to use this shit. I'm going to go use this shit. Um, but yeah, that's what makes me probably the angriest at anything. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, mom monstrosities.